this is the fun part. This is why people buy pendulums. So, pendulums. What are they? I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with pendulums. Pendulums have many, many different uses. What we're going to be talking about tonight is in regards to divination and healing. We're not going to talk about pendulums in terms of like music or timekeeping. So, let's see. I have a bunch that I use. So, I recommend you either take notes or revisit this video later on if you're new to pendulum use. And if you don't have a pendulum, I'm going to be doing some like exercises with you tonight. So if you have a pendulum, I recommend grabbing it and having it in hand. If you don't have one, I can teach you how to DIY one, or you can buy one from me. So honestly, it's a weighted end on a flexible strand, a string. So let's see, so this is my moonstone one. So it's literally just something on a string of sorts. I know Nico had made the kids ones years ago, and we honestly tied, I think it was like jute or that like hemp wire, not wire, but hemp string around a rock. And they loved it. It worked. So a pendulum can literally be anything you want it to be. The crystals do have meanings to each of their crystals, so they can be used for other things. They can also help with different divination needs, especially with the healing aspect of it, which we'll get into. So let's get started with this. So say you have a pendulum, okay, if you don't have one yet. When you do, the first and most important thing to do is to cleanse it. Even if you just purchased it and it's brand new, always cleanse them first. Why? Because you don't know where it's been, you don't know who's touched it, who's the manufacturer, all the energies that has come into contact prior to getting to you. So cleansing it basically is literally cleansing it, cleaning the slate in terms of energy attached to it. And that's important. And I do recommend, and again, I'll get into that later, as to how frequently you should do it and when to do it, and like why you should do it when you do it. So first, there's many different ways. I'm going to be showing you a few of my favorites and very simple ones because I love budget-friendly things, and I don't think you need fancy things to do many things, especially in magic and in divination. So the first method of cleansing is to use sea salt in a dish, a bowl, cup. Doesn't have to be fancy. I inherited this, or Nico and I inherited this, so we use this. And you honestly just place it into the sea salt. We say sea salt and not other forms of salt because sea salt is the more natural form of it. So you just I leave it overnight. You can even amp it up a bit and put it in the moonlight or put it in the sea salt in the sunlight. I don't typically put it in moonlight or sunlight because I feel like that's almost charging it rather than cleansing it. So sea salt is one of the ways. Another way is to smudge it. You can use Palo Santo sticks, which I have, sage bundles, and you just light it and then you pass it through the smoke with the intention and visualizing cleansing it. So you just light the sage a bit. Always use a flame-safe container to contain your sage or whatever it is that you're burning. That's common sense. It's safe. And plus, this does break off and drop ashes, so you want something to catch it as well. So I typically hold it. Let's see. Come on. Alright, so you can see the smoke. So then what you want to do is just hold it over the smoke, put the smoke all around it, and visualize the smoke touching all aspects of the pendulum. If you're not sure if you got it all, then do it again. Keep it going. Usually, because I'm live, so it's a little bit different, but in my mind or out loud, I will put an intent. I'll say something along the lines that I, Maeva Moonstar, claim this pendulum as my own, and I am cleansing the pendulum of any unwanted or negative energies that may be attached, and that this will be renewed, refreshed, just purified and cleansed. If smoke is not your thing and salt is not your thing, then I do have the smudge alternative spray. Again, same thing, you just spray it. If you are planning on using a spray or anything that's wet, make sure that if you're using a crystal or a metal or wood pendulum, that it is safe to have moisture or to get wet. Some of them don't handle certain temperatures, and some of them don't handle moisture. That's something that's super easy. You can just Google and just say, like, okay, I have a moonstone. Is moonstone safe to get wet? Another one that a lot of people do is run it under hot and cold water. So you put the faucet on and you run it under the water, visualizing the water kind of going through it energetically and pulling out anything negative or unwanted. A lot of people do hot then cold just to kind of like burn it away and then freshen it up. And they'll do it like a number of times. Hot, cold, probably 3 times of doing it that way, just because 3 is significant. So that is another alternative. I personally don't use the faucet just because I don't like faucet water. I don't trust it. I just feel like it's not as clean or as natural. I know it's water, but that's just me. Another alternative too, and this is what I used to do before we moved here. We don't really have much land right now. Put it in dirt. Put it outside. Put it in the grass. You could even bury it so that no one grabs it. If you're in like an apartment building or anything that's frequently by the public, you just put it out in the grass or even in your plant. I don't think, I wouldn't recommend doing the plant just because, yes, it's the soil, but it's not actually going back to the earth. It's just going back to a piece of the earth, if that makes sense. So I like to do the smudging and the earth version of it. Put it in the grass and let the earth ground the stone and cleanse it naturally. Like earthing. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the term earthing, walking barefoot in earth to ground and cleanse yourself. So that's what I do, and it's so simple. It could be really, really, really quick. It doesn't have to be overnight. If it's your first pendulum and the first time you're using it or getting it, then definitely leave it overnight. Just let it soak in all of that.
About well water.
What?
Amy asked about well water.
Well water. Yes, if you have well water, then for sure. I would say yes. Definitely. I'm sure there are so many other ways, but I think that's plenty of options, especially I gave you some like purchasable options and free options. Sea salt, put it in the sea salt, put it on the ground, smudge it with smudge smoke, or use the Maeva's Cottage smudge. This is a sacred smudge spray. This is my own proprietary blend that I've been using for about 11 years now. I love this. It's a smoke alternative, so if you're sensitive to the smoke or if you're sensitive to the smell of burning sage, it's very strong. then I recommend doing that. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be anything so simple. I will talk more about repeated cleansing and when to cleanse it after we talk about the other stuff. So once it's cleansed, it's time to charge it. What does charging mean? Charging means you're giving it a purpose, connecting it to your person, your energy, and letting it get acquainted to your energy, because you're going to be forming a total link between your body all the way down to the pendulum to when it does its job. So you want to make sure that it is programmed to you. So with that in mind, I don't recommend sharing your pendulum. I don't recommend letting others use it or borrow it. And if you have to, or if you're in a session with somebody else and they want to do it or try it, then you can. But then you would have to kind of start over and cleanse it and then recharge it. So here's how we charge it. I'm going to go with the free versions first, and then I'll go into purchased options. So sunlight, leaving it in the window or on a windowsill or on a porch or outside where it can get direct sunlight onto it. So leaving it in sunlight, we'll charge it with the energy and the power of the sun. So there's two parts to charging. Charging it literally, energetically, and then charging it to be yours, which is part of programming it. Thank you. Another way is moonlight. Moonlight is more my thing. I think the sun is great, very powerful. It's related to the God energy. Masculine energy is much stronger, whereas doing it in moonlight is more feminine, more divine, goddess oriented, and more emotionally attached. And that's why I choose doing it in moonlight. I do it in moonlight on top of what I'm about to show you. So moonlight, it doesn't have to be direct moonlight because it's not as easy as getting the sun. The sun you can see very clearly on your floor or in your window that the sun is coming through. The rays are much more obvious. The moon can be at any time of the moon phase as long as it's not like a new moon. But I do recommend in the waxing period or the full moon to charge it. But if you're on a time crunch, then it doesn't matter. The moon is always there. It's just visibly different. So the moon energies are always there. So that's more of like a psychological thing. But I prefer the waxing moon and the full moon. But again, if you just bought it and it happens to be the waning moon and you're like, crap, I can't do it. There's other ways to do it as well. Another one is to use a generator, not a power generator, a crystal generator. Again, that's something you can look up online. They have them anywhere from this big to this big. And a generator is a naturally occurring 6-sided crystal point. And it's basically a supercrystal that charges and amplifies magical workings or the use of other crystals. So if you have a generator, you could place it right next to it or touching it directly, or you could put the pendulum down, and this is my generator for pretend. You go and touch it along all the aspects of the pendulum and just say, I use this crystal to charge my pendulum. Another alternative is through magic, like a charging ritual or spell work, or just visualizing it. Again, you don't have to be super ornate to do that. You can just use mind power and hold it into your dominant hand and send the energy, visualize the energy, whatever color resonates for you, and visualize that going through your body, your whole being, through your arm, into your hand, creating a ball of light over and surrounding the pendulum. My color is typically purple. Don't know why, it just is that way. So that's, or white, and that's an alternative to that. Then the other thing that I have, and this is in Maeva's Cottage, and this is what I use, and that's why I bought them, because I only sell things that I would use. This is a selenite charging block. That is what this was made for. This is why the shape is the way it is. So you lay it down and then you place it on top. It's simple as that, because selenite, this beast over here, is like a generator, and it charges crystals all on its own. So you just say your intent, put it down, and set it aside. So now that it's cleansed and charged, it's time to program the pendulum. So when you are programming your pendulum, and again, for the sake of this video and the purpose, I'm using only 2 different versions. One is for divination and the other is for healing. They are both very different, and I recommend that if you want to do divination, to not use the healing one. Buy 2 different ones, make 2 different ones, acquire 2 different ones to do each of their tasks. So this one is my divination one, and where is my healing one? And this is my healing one. I have had this for so long, it's ridiculous. It's seen better days. So this is my healing one. It's an amethyst. So once you know what purpose you want to do, first we're going to start with actually we'll go with healing because I can do that a lot faster. So if the intent is healing, you basically say in your head or out loud to your pendulum that this is designed to heal. Plain and simple. There's really not much programming when it comes to pendulums. I mean, you could do the methods of the way we program. Okay, so I should probably start with the divination then. Okay, so we'll do the divination one and then I'll go into that one, and that one's really quick. So with divination, you program it by holding it. I know some people will tie it around their finger to make it taut. I don't. I put it like, if there's a little crystal or a ball or something on top, I put it between my 2 fingers and I keep it steady like that, and I press my thumb over the top, and that's how I keep it steady. This one's already programmed to me, and you can either pick your intent and wait for the pendulum to do it your way, or you let the pendulum tell you what it is. So you can be like, show me yes, and then it'll show you yes. And then you say, show me no, and if it moves, then that is now your no. Make sure that you write this down in case you don't remember, not now, but like when you're doing it, so that you don't forget. I do yes, no, maybe, and too soon to tell. And what mine looks like is yes would be back and forth, like nodding. Makes sense to me, that's why I picked it that way. And show me no, it goes side to side. And that is like shaking your head no, which is why I do it that way. It makes sense to me. It could be something different for you. Maybe counterclockwise is no for you and clockwise is yes. And then show me maybe. It's going to be a little bit. There we go. Okay, so it's going really little, and it's like, you're not asking real questions. So maybe it, for me, is clockwise circles. And then too soon to tell is counterclockwise circles. And that's how I do that. And you do this a few times just to ensure that it's still doing the same way for everything. I told mine what to do. I said, like, once it started doing that, when I was holding it, I said, this is yes. And then when it started moving, and I was like, this is no. Or you could do the show me yes, show me no, and let it tell you how it works. Just remember which way it is, so that when you're using it, you're like, oh wait, crap, what did that mean? Okay, so that's programming it. Programming for healing purposes, not divination. Divination, if you're not familiar with the term divination, is to use it like intuitive psychic work, to ask questions, yes, no, maybe, or to use pendulum boards, which I'm going to get into after. So if you're doing it for healing, you could do it laying down, or you could do it sitting up, standing, whatever. I think laying down is a bit challenging, so I do it sitting down because it's easier and makes more sense to me. So with healing, you do, you can either do like chakra points or just parts of the body. I'm not very familiar with chakras. I do work with them, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which one's which. So what I do, and what many others do, is to hold it over an area. Instead of being like the yes, no, or whatever, they'll actually start vibrating. They'll look like they're like wobbling. So the intent is to have it either or moving. So if it's vibrating or moving a lot over a certain area, then that is the area that needs work. So this is the part of the healing process of scanning. So you can use pendulums to scan, and this is in terms of like chakras and or that physical area. You would determine that prior to doing it. So if I say like, which chakra do I need to work on, and then hold it over, and if it starts going crazy near your head, then it's your head. I do have a fan on right now, so it's a little bit impacting the movement. And then you move it down to the throat, the heart, and so forth. So if it stays relatively still and not moving, you can move on. But if it starts going haywire, like, hey girl, heads up, you have an issue here, then that's what you do. So now healing with crystal pendulums, you can have designated crystals that work with the chakras. So by picking like say a red jasper for the root chakra, that would be for that. You would hold it over the area and basically use the crystal for healing, not necessarily the pendulum, but the crystal aspect of the pendulum. Where is it? I have it here somewhere. I do have a very limited supply left of the chakra ones. So I have these chakra ones, and these are not resin. They are not the cheapy pendulum. I've seen them in stores all the time. These are actually 7 different fused crystals together. So they are all crystals that work with each chakra. So this one would be a multi-purpose, so you only need one pendulum to do each chakra instead of having 7 different colors. I don't do that much because I am an energy healer. I don't rely on crystals to tell me anything. I do energetic sweeping, so I don't really use them. So that is something that I just learned to know, but I don't use that method personally. But that's great for somebody who does want to use it for that and does do it that way. So divination. This is the fun part. This is why people buy pendulums, because they want answers and they want to do it in a fun way. So pendulums and divination can be used for divination in terms of like psychic work, and also for spirit communication. And I will get to the spirit communication aspect later. You can use a pendulum in the same way that you would use like a Ouija board. So divination. Now that we've programmed it to tell us yes or no, and this is what I'm going to be doing with the readings later on. So if you want readings from me and my pendulum, stay tuned, and I will be doing free readings. You can ask yes or no questions. I will be reading the comments and directly answering using the pendulum. With divination, you honestly, now that you have the program, you ask a question. Is my birthday September 23rd? I was already going yes, but okay, so let's get it still. Get it still. And when it's still, it like looks like it's vibrating. It goes like ooh, 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 ooh. So I'm going to ask a question. Am I on Facebook Live? And the key is to keep your hand and arm very steady, especially if you're working with other people or you're in person doing a reading for somebody. They will be very quick to say, you moved it. I do not move it. I keep it very still. I always do it sitting. I don't typically do it standing unless I'm doing like a walkthrough of something, but I haven't done that in years. So I sit and I lock my elbow, not the pointy part, but like right here, the flat part on the table so that it does not move, and I lock my wrist in place. So let's see. All right, stay still. I'm gonna wait for it to stop moving. See, and it's vibrating. I don't know if you can see that on camera that it's vibrating, but that is just saying we're ridden with energy. We're ready to go. Ask me a question. Okay, so my next question is, do I have brown eyes? And that is clearly a no. I don't have brown eyes. I have blue eyes. I use a copper stand touching the chain and let my energy go through it to make it move. That's awesome. Yes. And copper is an excellent conduit for energy. So that's awesome. If I don't know where you would find one, probably just online. That's something I should look into. I love, love, love that. I just wanted to ask those questions to show you how it does move and does answer from a still point. So I did not move. I asked a question and it moved once my question was over. And sometimes it'll be very subtle, which could be, it's not a big deal. But sometimes if it's like a super serious question and it needs a warning, or the universe really needs you to know, or the pendulum or whatever it is that's doing it wants you to know something. I did a reading and I used the pendulum in a reading, and I told my client that I've never seen my pendulum do that before. And I kid you not, like, you saw how subtle it was when I just asked those questions. When I asked their question, it was almost completely parallel to the floor. It was like going like this, and I was not moving. I didn't have a fan on. I was in another room, and it was just going crazy. I was like, well, that's not a hell no. I don't know what is. So it could be a very, very definitive no. Now, if you want more information beyond a yes, no, maybe, or anything like that, pendulum boards are a thing, or pendulum mats. I don't know where mine is because I turned our entire house upside down with this store, so I don't know where it went. So we're gonna make one, and you can make yours at home too, or you can find a Google image and print it. You don't have to buy fancy ones. I'm probably gonna make some for the store. Wood burning, I wood burn stuff. So, oh, I grabbed my Cricut pen. I thought I grabbed a marker. Okay, so you have a piece of paper. I'm gonna keep picking it up in case you can't see the table. So we're gonna do a circle for home base. Let's put a star in it because I'm extra. Okay, we're going to do another circle, and then another circle, and then corners. What's up? It's a pen. Yeah. Okay. This is yes. This is no. Okay, so that's what I have so far. Okay. Yes, no. Maybe. I'm writing super sloppy. Okay, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason why I'm doing this live is A, I didn't have time to prepare, and B, I can show you how fast and easy and free it is to make a pendulum board. And I'm totally winging this. So you have, that's upside down. Good going. Okay, yes, no, maybe, too soon to tell, a home base. And right now I have 1 through 10 in the first ring. You can pick and do anything depending on what you're going to be asking. You could do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Just in case you guys didn't know the days of the week, you're welcome. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When you do yours, I would trace it first with pencil because it's completely uneven. But now I have numbers and I have days of the week. And then you could do months or seasons or astrological signs, whatever you want for the outside ring. Now, how do you get Pendulum to give you answers using one of these? And you can also do alphabet. So you could honestly, if you really have patience and you want to do an alphabet, and not patience to write it, but patience to wait for the pendulum to write stuff. It's like the Ouija board, which is again another way. So you can use these these mats or the pendulum boards to communicate with spirits in the same way that you would do a Ouija board. So you would put the pendulum as you would, however you feel you hold it to keep it stable. You put it in center. I touch down so that way I know it's not moving. Let's see. So you touch down how many days until Friday, and it will swing in the direction of what it is going to. So if you know it's going to be a numerical answer, then if it goes that way, obviously it's also going in the same direction as Tuesday on this mat. But the question had nothing to do with Tuesday, therefore it is not Tuesday, it is the numbers, which is the first ring. Again, if it's a yes or no and it goes into that corner, it's not saying 10 or Monday, it's yes, because that's the corner. So that's what it looks like. And if it swings, we'll do a little demo vertically. So if it's hanging like this and starts swinging, and it goes more into one direction, then it would be 2. If it goes this way, it'll be 1, 10, etc. If you do months or years, you can say like, how many years until I do this? And it'll say 5 years. Again, yes, no, too soon to tell, maybe. You can put anything on here. You could do, like I said, the alphabet. The ring version is the best version. And this is with no facts behind me. This is with no facts or research or practice or any information whatsoever. I had put this down and I was like, I wonder if you could do that. Automatically, you would be able to use the yes and the no on the board because they are at an angle, so the pendulum can go in those angles. But because this is set up like this, and if it's swinging, you're just like, okay, so this is UHGT. It's all of these. So again, I'm making this up. I have never thought about it. This just came into my head as I was talking to you guys about the board, the pendulum board. And I'm thinking, if you held this elbows off and over the board and closed your eyes and asked the question, like, and look away, and then allow the vibrations and the energy to move your hand to wherever it feels that it's strongest, and then touch down and see where it goes. So that's a C. It could be literally anything. And I can feel that the pendulum feels heavier in certain areas, and that I can feel it and it's tingling in my fingers like pins and needles, almost like when you touch a socket. I don't recommend touching sockets, but if you've ever had a slight electrocution feeling and it has like that buzzy, or like those prank pens, if they've ever, like friends from like the gag gift stores, and you would press down on the pen and it would buzz and like zap your finger. It has that kind of vibration, kind of making my veins feel tense feeling. So I guess you could use a board in that aspect. Again, it's no different than having this on it because it's on here, but you essentially are letting it move to where it's pulling you. So why not be able to use the pendulum for that? And if you ever have a board and you lose your planchette, then use a pendulum. Again, this is also offered on the store. This is the actual size. This is from the store. We just unwrapped it now. These are in the crystal section of Maeva's Cottage. So let's see. I have Moonstone is my absolute favorite. And all of these pendulums in my store, I am very, very picky in particular, which is why I have a lot of things that are coming soon on the site, is because I am very picky. I don't want to do anything like crazy bored. I'm reading the comments, sorry. I'm not cheaping out. That's where I'm getting at. I'm not cheaping out. I had to have the companies get back to me and authenticate that the crystals are in fact genuine crystals and not a resin or whatever other material that they can do to do it. So this is Moonstone, and because they are genuine stones, they are all different from each other. So they don't all look alike because no stone does. Come on, come into focus. Moonstone. The lapis lazuli. These ones are a little bit more money just because they are harder to source and they are valued at a higher monetary rate. This is the sunstone. These ones are really pretty. They look way better in person. This light and phone do not do them justice. I have black tourmaline, tiger's eye. The aventurine is absolutely amazing. When I opened them, Nico and I both said, like, oh my god, those look awesome. They look so good. They look so good. So, a lot of people are afraid of the Ouija boards. And I think it's because people who use them are typically playing or messing around and they get what they are not expecting. And so you hear horror stories or you hear a lot of fake stories, especially on like YouTube and other whatever there was before like YouTube was a thing. I remember like there was like not Tumblr, but a ways back in my day, people would make fake videos. They would fake their experiences, and I think they have built themselves a bad rap. They can be used for divination only. That does not have to be it's called a talking board. It doesn't say anything about talking to spirits or demons or whatever people think they do. MySpace, yeah. So you can use them, and again, I mean, you could even like cleanse the board and say like the intent of my board is for divination only. I do not want to contact spirits. No doors will be opened. And you can just use it as a divination tool. I have not used one since 2011, so it's been a while. I actually just took this out of the closet for this video tonight. This is not the one I used in 2011 because we just got this in like 2015, but we haven't, Nico won't touch them. Exactly, Dalton. They are just a divination tool, and you basically put the intent as to what it's going to be used for.